Good afternoon, everyone. In partnership with Thales Group, One Commerce International Corporation is proud to present One Commversation, Secure Your Data in the Age of Quantum Computing. Hello, everyone. I am Kath, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. And we are here today to have an important conversation about one of the compelling issues in the tech world. We have invited guests to better understand its impact. But before we further commence the conversation, let's go through the Zoom meeting rules. Okay, so everyone is encouraged to participate by typing your response to our quantum quiz in the comment box below. If you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A box and we will answer them during the quantum quiz segment. And that is basically it for our rules. So now we turn to the quantum bits of our conversation involving you, your data, and your company. So, with the emergence of fast-rising quantum computers, their speed can easily change the landscape of technology. And this will affect data encryption and the standards in security. As technology develops, there are more cybersecurity challenges for data in motion that arise. Let's have a quick look at where we, the Philippines, stand. Now, based on the International Telecommunications Union's 2020 edition of the Global Cybersecurity Index, or GCI, that gauges the dedication of the countries in cybersecurity practice adoption, the Philippines ranked 61st out of 194 countries. It received a score of 77 out of 100, where the indicators are: first, legal measures; second, technical measures; third, organizational measures; fourth, capacity development; and lastly, cooperative measures. To highlight, their findings indicate that the Philippines' area for potential growth is the organizational measures category. Thus, we should further pursue the national strategies and organizations implementing cybersecurity. Now, there have been cases of data breach in our country. There was a hacking incident of a high-profile website that was linked to databases containing personal data. So this included full name, date, and place of birth. And the worst part of it was that this data can actually be illegally utilized. But before we move on to the next part of our program, how about we start with a quick warm-up and a quantum quiz question before we meet our guest speakers for today. So I hope everybody here is ready. Let's see if you were listening to my introduction. Now, the first one who can send his answer in the chat box will win a prize. Okay, so I hope everyone's warmed up. Your fingers are warmed up. I will be asking the very first question. Okay, so here's the question. What is the rank of the Philippines in the 2020 Global Security Index that was released by International Telecommunication Union? Oh, I see some people answering right now. Let me check who came first. I love it. We have an active audience here. Okay, I think our winner will be Stephen. We have a Stephen Baging. Stephen Baging. Congratulations, Stephen Baging. You will be winning a prize. So congratulations. A One Commerce representative will have a short conversation with you all about your prize. So congratulations, Stephen. Okay, so now let us move on. We will don't worry, everyone. Everyone who answered, we will be having another quantum quiz later and you'll have your chance to win a prize as well. Okay. So, we are honored to welcome our special guests actually from the Philippine National Police, Police Colonel Ruben Bores and Police Lieutenant Colonel Carlo Escobar in our one conversation. Okay, let's welcome them. Hello, Colonels.
Hello, good afternoon. Everyone.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Colonel Carlo Escobar. And we have there Police Colonel Ruben Boris as well. It's very nice to have you here, gentlemen.
Good
Good
afternoon, Sir
afternoon.
Boris.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, so while we're here, let's get straight down to business po, no? So, here's my very first question. Coming from a unit that was created to focus po primarily on data security within your organization, the Philippine National Police, you have been keen on issues on data security, right? So, based on your rigid measures and analysis, what do you think is the impact of a possible data breach in the PNP setting and, of course, the safety of Filipinos like you and me? So, anyone po can answer, Police Colonel Ruben Boris or Police Lieutenant Colonel Carlo Escobar. The floor is yours.
Again, good afternoon. Pertaining to the impact of a possible data breach in the PNP, and of course, the safety of the Filipino who are our clients, for the organization, we have identified three significant results or negative impact for the possible breach. First, the negative impact on the reputation of the PNP organization. Second would be a legal issues that will entail pertaining to the breach. And third, of course, is we will lose the confidence of our clients, which is the Filipino people. If our information had been breached, such as intelligence, confidential information pertaining to our operatives and field agents. On the other hand, the external negative result would be or means loss of confidence of the Filipino people to the PNP or the Philippine National Police.
Police Lieutenant Colonel, do you have anything to add to that? Okay, so moving on po. Thank you for your answers, Police Colonel Ruben Boris. As you have been implementing, I'm sure you have been implementing the best practices of data privacy in the cyber landscape here in our country. What then po are your insights about the value of data security?
Uh, can I answer that question?
Yes, of course po.
Data privacy in the PNP organization is very important since we are handling sensitive personal information of our clients, especially those who are uh, applying for licenses, for example, their firearms licenses and security guards licenses. All those data are being collected by the PNP, personal data being collected, and they are being secured by the PNP. However, as a commitment of the PNP pertaining to data privacy, it has created or activated the Data Privacy Division under the Directorate for ICT Management, in which I am designated as the current officer in charge of the data privacy. So that's how committed the PNP is when it comes to data privacy of our citizens. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and we are very glad to have you both actually with the safety, taking care of the safety of our nation in terms of cybersecurity. Now, as we are aware, and as I've mentioned earlier, there have been threats, right? So we have threats that are coming in and out every year. So then, how significant is it to have to deploy a very future-proof solution?
Sir Boras, sir?
Yeah, of course. On as a premise, we are a government organization, Philippine National Police. We have limited resources to implement future-proof solutions for the cybersecurity and data privacy of the organization. But if we will be given enough resources, the PNP organization is willing to implement the future-proof solutions, particularly to enhance our capability to detect, response, and mitigate cybersecurity threats through capacity enhancement, procurement of technical resources, and of course, formulation of policies. So I think it's very important for us, for the Philippine National Police, to future-proof our organization.
Can I add
Oh,
something to
yes.
it, ma'am?
Yes, sir, yes.
Uh,
Please do.
in addition to what Colonel Boris has said, the PNP organization needs our private partners to assist us in future proofing of our ICT resources, particularly on its cybersecurity solutions due to our limited capability and that
Mm-hmm.
of the organization to identify what our requirements are pertaining to securing data and to foolproof it in the future. Uh, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Police Colonel Ruben Boris and Police Lieutenant Colonel Carlo Escobar. We have learned a lot through your insights. And thank you so much for your time and answering our questions.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you as well. We salute you for your work. Thank you for keeping us safe. Okay, so we will now be moving on to our next. Thank you so much, Colonel Ruben Boris and Police Lieutenant Colonel Carla Escobar. Okay, so in the quantum computing age, computer processing will significantly increase in speed. There will be more advancements in data encryption, but is there a solution that can be considered as quantum safe? To share this quantum conversation with me on how to future proof the level of data security for transfer, we have invited a champion for quantum resistance. Our speaker for today is Welland Chu, the Business Development Director, Asia Pacific at Thales. Over his 27 years in the security industry, Welland has been leading teams of security professionals in implementing security solutions for or providing independent security assessments on cybersecurity at enterprises, fintech and traditional payment, and personal data privacy. In parallel with his role at Thales, Welland serves as the Vice President and Secretary at the China-Hong Kong chapter of ISACA, a global nonprofit organization focusing on IT governance, and cybersecurity. Welland received his PhD from King's College London and is a certified information systems auditor and a certified information security manager. A safe and secure afternoon to you, Welland. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you, Catherine. Nice speaking with you and the audience. And thank you for the sharing from Colonel and Lieutenant Colonel earlier.
Yes, likewise. So, Welland, now that we have you here, and I know that your time is very precious, can you tell us a little something about what we will be discussing today?
I'll be delighted to. Well, today
Thank you.
I'd like to share something close to my heart, which is cybersecurity. There's everything is moving in a fast pace in cybersecurity, but there's one particular aspect that I would like to share with the audience today. Is about the quantum computing and the effect of it in our daily life. And I hope everybody take an interest on this, because the implication is wide and very deep. It is going to impact our life. It's going to impact all the government around the world. Talk about the police communication. We're talking about communication with the embassies. Everything like that will be impacted. So I welcome questions and discussion along our presentation and at the end of the presentation as well.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. So, I have a question. So that we can start off on the same foot, Welland. I'll start off with the question already. Can you help us understand what is a quantum computer?
Oh, Catherine, do you want me to share my slide? Do you want me
Oh, of
to take
course.
control,
Yes.
please?
Can we please give access to Welland, please, for his screen?
Okay. I think I am getting control. Give me 1 minute.
You have it? Okay.
Takes a while. Okay, there we are. I hope you are
You
seeing
got it?
my screen over here.
Yes, I
And
am. Yes, I hope
okay,
everyone else can see the screen as well.
perfect.
Yes,
So,
Okay.
Catherine, you're talking about what is quantum computing. Well, this is something that is going to have impact in all these digital transformation. We talk about smart city, making our lives more healthier, happier, and everybody can do things in a more efficient way. But this quantum computing is going to impact us in the way where you don't want to wake up one morning where all your bank balances can be freely available to be viewed by anybody, everybody online. And you don't want to wake up one morning finding that all the traffic light, electricity power supply, they stop working. And also mentioned that the communication within the police, communication within foreign services, defense, you don't want that to be broken. All because of something called quantum computing. So what is quantum computing? That is getting a lot of attraction in the news. Um, all the big guys, Google are doing it, Microsoft, IBM, and even some startup are doing quantum. When I said startup, I don't mean just small company. These startups include some company which were IPO with a $2 billion in the market capitalization. So um, in, in essence, quantum computing make use of something very peculiar of quantum, could be a photon, could be electron, something very, very small. And when a physical phenomena is taking place as minute scale, we're talking about photon of light, electron, very small particle, things behave very differently, strangely from what we experience. So we talk about something called uncertainties principle. That means we'll never be able to pinpoint where that particular small particle or photon of light is going to be, or at the same time, they can exist at any position or any state with a different probability. So this is something what we call superposition. The interesting part of that is while they're able to exhibit themselves, express themselves in different quanta, different state, if you are able to measure some of this state, you are able to correlate what the other state of those photons are likely to be. So it opens up a lot of the possibility. Just give you an example. We all know about classical computing, not and one, 0 and 1, yeah? So with a 3-bit computer, not one, not one, you have, in a classical computer, you have 8 different states. So with a 3-bit computer, one of the 8 states will represent the outcome. So that's the classical computer. In the quantum computer, what we call the qubit, using this photon of light or electron, because of the superposition, they are allowed to exhibit in all the different states with different possibilities. So a 300 qubit quantum computer, 300 qubit, you have the number of possibilities that exceed the number of atoms in our observable universe. So that is a lot of possibilities. So yeah, but quantum computer behaves differently. So when we take the measurements, we usually will confine it within the state so that we can make the measurement, and we make the measurement, they collapse into certain kind of state. And we make those measurements. Usually we do quite a few measurements along the way, and maybe using some classical computers to prove that the answer is correct. For that, as in putting into context, like quantum computing, it is powerful, but it is not everything is faster than classical computer. If you want quantum computer to add 1 + 1 = 2, it takes a long time. So it is not a solution for everybody, for everything. But it is particularly good at doing some particular mathematics, like factoring. Factoring means you have the number, you want to see what are the numbers that are multiple to become that number. Give you an example. What is the year? This year is 2021, yeah? So what is the prime, what are the numbers that make up with this 2021? We start doing multiply 1 times 2021. Okay, that's one multiplication. But what are the actual factors? We do 2 up 3, 4. We try each of the number 1 until we reach a number of 43. So 43 times 47 is 2021. So this is how a classical computer would do it. Do things one step at a time. It's okay for a number like 2021, but what happens if you have a larger number, like a 300-bit number? It's more atoms than the observable universe. And in fact, most of our computers will not be able to handle anything greater than certain digit size, like 1024-bit number. This is a huge number. This is certain factors like factoring or some kind of mathematical formulas that has been very difficult to resolve using classic computer. And this is the idea of what we have been using in our public key cryptography, like what we do in our e-commerce, in our browser, in your ID card, in your credit card, with chips in, and with your communication between embassy, between police station. Yes, all this public key cryptography currently in use using the previously stated the factoring technique, using discrete logarithm. So our current digital presence, which has been working very well, very smooth, is now subject to attack because of the threat posed by quantum computer. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, yes, it does. I was quite surprised actually also with your very, very sudden and surprising math lesson there. Good thing you had the answers on screen. But yes, everything does make sense. But well, as you can see on the screen, I do have another question here. How does encryption work in this scenario? How does it work here?
Thank you, Catherine. In communication between embassies, between police department, between government, it is very common that we use a combination of what we call a symmetric cryptography and versus symmetric. So what is symmetric crypto? A symmetric crypto means you have a algorithm where you want to apply that algorithm onto your plain text data. And to do that, you need a secret key for encryption. For symmetric algorithm, that secret key is used to encrypt from original document to an encrypted version.
Okay.
And to decrypt it, you would like to use the same secret key to revert it back to the original. So that is symmetric encryption. AES, triple dash, these are the symmetric encryption that is used in your credit card, in your communication right now.
Okay.
For the asymmetric, it does think a little bit differently. We usually have a pair of cryptographic keys, what we call the public key and the private keys. So if Bob would like to send a document secretly to Alice, to be the right, what Bob will do is use Alice's public key, encrypted, and then since Alice only have the private key, only Alice have that private key, Alice can decrypt the document with her own private key. If this encrypted document get read by anybody else, since this anybody else do not have Alice's private key, this document will stay encrypted. It will not be displayed. The funny thing about quantum is that with quantum computing, because it is very powerful, it's very good in doing all this parallel computing, factoring, doing great things very fast with our RSA, with our current cryptography. It can reduce the strength of our symmetric cryptography by usually, if you have a 256-bit of key, it can reduce to 128-bit. So reduction of 256-bit to 128-bit is not simply a reduction of 2 times the strength. It's actually 2 to the power of 128, a huge number. So
it is.
in the past, what you consider to be secure with quantum for the symmetric key is no longer secure. For the public key, it's even more devastating. With public key and with the help of quantum computing, all the RSA, digital signature algorithm, elliptic curve, what we use every day in your e-banking application, in all of our modern communication, they will break down on frame. This is the truth. And that's why people in the government, if you are managing risk for government, managing risk for all the utilities, banking, communication, telco, this, please do take note of that, because quantum is going to change your life. So how many bits are we talking about that will become vulnerable? Right now, we are somewhere around here, which is about Google are using a quantum computer with 53 bits. Somebody in the other side of the Pacific Ocean, they are trying to do much larger key size. And we're saying that China is doing it, and also European are also improving their quantum computing. Implication is that we talk about all these internet communication based on what we call TLS, IPsec, SSH. Sorry, they are no longer secure. For the ID card, credit card that you use every day, no longer secure. So we're saying all the data protected with public key exchange mechanism will be subjected to harvest and decrypt attack. What that means is maybe you have the police station communicating right now securely between themselves using both the public key for key exchange and symmetric key for key encryption. Right now, that system is secure, but with quantum computing, evolving along the way. The bad guys, the bad actors, what they are likely to do are to collect as much information as possible. Just collect them. They can't decrypt it because of the lack of technology. But after a few years, when the quantum becomes available to them, they might, okay, take what they have stored in the past, put in front of them, in front of the quantum computer, and start to decrypt it. So that can have a significant implication for sensitive materials.
Okay, wow, that's very interesting, and that's a lot. So now that we see that quantum is the future, how about right now, Welland? What can you describe the current state of quantum computing now?
Okay, well, quantum is coming up. Right now, we are still developing it, making it more efficient. When I say efficient, is the picture you see on the left. This is a
Yes.
quantum computer. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's huge. Well, you see all this gold color, all this. They are not the computer. They are there to lower the temperature. The quantum computing
Okay.
part is only tiny bit, but they will use massive infrastructure to make sure that the environment is manageable. With, if you're using a superconductor for conducting for the quantum computing, you have to reduce the temperature to less than 1 Kelvin. What is 1 Kelvin? Right now in Philippines, we are talking about 35 degrees Celsius, maybe. 1 Kelvin is about minus 272 Celsius. It's colder.
Okay. It is definitely.
Yes, colder than outer space. So you have to shrink everything, lower the temperature incredibly to make sure this quantum can do that work without interfering each other or getting interference from the environment. So right now, it is very noisy. It's error prone, and that's why if you want to build a usable quantum computer, you probably need to build a much bigger physical quantum computer so that you can make use of the quantum in a more less error way, as well as you can use a lot of redundancy to make sure they are working. So it's not there yet. Just consider 50 years ago, your computer, as powerful as your mobile phone now, is as big as a room.
Yes.
Guess what? Everything can be shrunken. Same with the quantum computer. So, who is coming to rescue us from the current state of the threat? Scientists are taking note of the threat posed by computing. In the US, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, they have already started to look into post-quantum era. The European their certification bodies are looking into building and recognizing some new standards that can take care of the post-quantum era. So they started some selection of what are the new cryptographic algorithms that can work without being threatened by the quantum computing state. They have started with some open candidate, and they've down to selection of 7 cryptographic algorithm as of last stage, and they are trying to make sure that the final candidate of the post-quantum cryptography will be able to withstand the quantum attack. So what you see right now in the middle, these are the post-quantum algorithms that are likely to make to the to become the future standard. They have different encryption algorithm and digital signature algorithm. The scientists are looking at between now to 2 years away that the final draft will become standardized, become available. So your next question, Catherine, maybe, so how can we protect our data? We know that
Yes.
the standard is not there yet. So even you implement something right now, are they going to stay secure? The answer
Yes.
is we need to look at 3 factors to understand whether you are secure or not.
Okay.
Number 1, I'll look at the diagram on your top hand corner. You have at the bottom you have the time compromise, which is the time that a quantum computer will arrive that can become available. Okay, this is the time that they become usable. At the same time, you have 2 other timelines. One is the time for you to develop the quantum resilient algorithm. Okay, we are at this stage between now to 2024, so we have about 2 years. The next timeline that you need to look at is the encrypted shelf life. Give you an example, your credit card, your credit card with a chip on may have a life of, let's say, 3 years to 5 years. That means once your bank issue you with the credit card, that card has a life for 3 to 5 years. Yeah.
Yes.
After that, you
Yes.
need to replace.
Mm-hmm.
With communication that is used by the government. Let's say I have some very sensitive information between government department, between embassy. Usually, their encrypted shelf is much longer. Yeah. So if you have a time at the bottom that the quantum computer become available, if this quantum computer time becoming available is shorter than the time that you develop a quantum safe algorithm plus the encrypted shelf life, then you are in the danger of exposing your secret.
Okay.
Okay, so this is something that our government official, please take note of that. There's some moving part. We don't know when the bad guys have their hands on the quantum computer, so we don't know when that becomes available.
Yes.
But at the same time, we have some control when we can start to adopt some quantum safe algorithm, which is a blue line. And we also have some control on the encrypted shelf life. So there are some challenges that we are foreseeing. What we need to do now is to see, okay, let's look at when is the expiration date of our data. So for some temporary credential could be hours, minutes, but there are some secret where you want to keep longer. In Philippines government, you may have standards say for this kind of secret, you want to maintain for, let's say, 7 years, 15 years, 30 years, 50 years, or indefinitely. Okay? So you have this classification. So for every organization, you probably will need to look at what are the data that you are trying to keep secure. Then you can put that back on to your timeline when you want to do something to protect the data.
Okay, since you mentioned, Wellen, that what we have in control right now is the shelf life, right? So, how can we maximize the shelf life for data encryption?
Great question, Catherine. I think all the government wants to have that answer.
Yes.
It is some of that answer is part of their control. Some of them may be out of their control. But what we would like to advise our government client is, number one, let's be calm and take the assessment. You need to assess how risky you are. You need to assess how risky your data is subject to this quantum attack. So before you invest in anything, before you spend any money, do take a test. Just like if I think I am a little bit ill, I think I need to take the medicine. But before you take the medicine, please go and see the doctor. Let the doctor gives you the diagnosis. So step number one is do the quantum risk assessment. There are different quantum assessment available. Thales, we are very happy to work with you to provide you with this free assessment that you are able to take it at your own time. And then number two is that you may want to consider implementing something called Agile cryptography. That means in the past you may be using RSA, you may be using elliptic curve plus some symmetric algorithm like AES 256. With the quantum approaching, you may want to do something a little bit more clever to make it more agile. Agile means you may want to use some newer algorithm to put into your communication protection. Further down the road, you may want to look at the different algorithm and maybe even quantum key generation plus the quantum key distributor. So these are some of the areas that you as a user, you as a service provider, start thinking about it. But number one, please take the assessment.
Yes. Know your risks.
That's right. Know your risk. Some screenshot are available. There is a, you can see from the bottom left-hand corner, this is the website. Go down to the website and take the free test. So with this crypto agility, what we are trying to do is you have to invest your time and resources to improve your infrastructure. And with OneCommerce, you are the security provider, you are the network provider. It is now time to talk to OneCommerce. What are the available options to you to improve your infrastructure, to protect you, not just now in 2021, but further down the road.
So this crypto agile solution, Welland, how do we deploy this then?
Okay, we have solution available. What we would like to suggest our clients understand your risk, do the test, and then try to shrink or remove the window of vulnerability. Remember, we have this diagram where your crypto shelf life plus the time to quantum resilience, you want to shrink it to minimize exposure of the danger. So we're working with OneCommerce, we would like to recommend some area for your client to look at. Number one is, right now, without quantum attack, we still have some standard to adhere to. These are the NIST recommendations. NIST is this global or US-centric standardization body. What they recommend us is to utilize a hybrid approach. Hybrid approaches is that right now you have your cryptography based on RSA, based on AES. They are certified. They are good. Continue to use some. Don't discard them away. But hybrid being, it is now time for you to add additional cryptography into your infrastructure. So in practice, what you like to do is you may want to do a mix and match or a combination of traditional cryptography plus some new quantum safe cryptography.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time. So the transition will need some help from your provider or talk to newcomers. You do need
Mm-hmm.
some hand-hold holding. One of the interesting offering that newcomers can help you with is for the data network encryption. You can be very, very clever. On one hand, continue to use your AES key, which is exchange using the standardized classical approach. But at the same time, you want to generate another symmetric key using the quantum safe algorithm. And then within your device, within your network infrastructure, your device will be able to cleverly merge them together. You combine the keys. So one key is from your traditional, proven, certified ways of generation, and another key is from the new algorithm, and then you combine securely within your infrastructure. This is how you can use a new infrastructure that is enabling you to continue to be quantum safe in the future, and you are safe right now. So you have combined the best of both worlds, the classical world and the quantum world.
So, how's encryption applied here?
Okay, so with encryption, then what we can do is on the top right-hand corner, you have some physical device which are very
Yes.
good in encrypting from megabit per second up to 10 or even 100 gigabit per second. These are very, very fast encryption devices. They are already available. You would like to apply the quantum agility. That means you would like to use what we described earlier, some quantum safe algorithm. Put that
Yes.
in. But at the same time, you want to use traditional classical algorithm, continue to use that. And this Thales HSE platform will allow you to do all these clever things, like continue to protect your network, protect your infrastructure from low network performance requirement all the way up to 100 gigabit. Some of the interesting part, interesting development is in some area you would like to use the physical FIPS certified device, like the one in the right. In some circumstances, you may want to use a software appliance. That means you may have a server, but you just need to have the encryption function, but you cannot put in a hardware device with your server. You can have an option to put in a virtual server that can talk to your large server, and at the other end, it can talk seamlessly with the hardware encryption devices.
Okay, so then is this application the same for all scenarios?
Yes, definitely, definitely. What you would like your environment is to be seamless in operation,
Yes.
seamless in management. So in some traditional data center approach, yes, we can have this HSE, which is high-speed encryptors, put in either end of the data line. It can be done in a point-to-point fashion, or it can be used in a mesh fashion. And in a mesh fashion, that means each of the endpoint will be able to talk to other entities around the network in a secure fashion. And some of these HSE can be a hardware appliance. Some of these HSE, if you choose to, can be the software appliance. So quick takeaway. In the sense we are very cautious of time. Takeaway is quantum is approaching the expert. Or let's say it is becoming available around 5 years time to 20 years time from now. Our recommendation is we need to understand your risk. So do an assessment early, and then we start to go to the crypto agility approach. We want to combine the quantum safe algorithm together with the classical algorithm. The journey has to start early. Start doing the test early. Start thinking and planning early. If you need help, One Commerce is great with you to work with them. And Thales, we are always behind One Commerce. We are very happy to work with One Commerce to provide you with the professional service you need, the advice you need, and also the solution. With this high-speed encryptor is already deployed, already in use in many parts of the government, in many parts of the world. Governments, finance, they rely on these technologies to protect their network. And this high-speed encryptor have the high performance, high flexibility, cost effective. And most importantly, it has the ability to become quantum agile. You can allow right now in the future quantum world to be able to utilize the same equipment by simply upgrading it. So with that, Catherine, I thank you for your time. You've been a great host, and I would
Thank you,
love
No.
love to work with you, work with your client anytime. Thank you.
Yes, I'm sure a lot of our guests today are also excited about this whole emergence of a quantum computer. And thank you so much for informing us and giving us more data about it. It's a very exciting future for all of us. Okay, so as promised, we'll be reading your quantum questions, ladies and gentlemen, here in the Q&A box. But before we proceed, we are honored to be joined by two guests from Thales Group. So we have here with Welland, Janet Hong, the regional sales manager, and Ivan Tan, their sales engineer from Thales Cloud Protection and Licensing. So hello, Ivan and Janet. Welcome. Are you here with us?
Yep, hello.
Hello. Hi, Ivan. Do we have
Hi.
Janet here as well?
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Janet. It's very nice to have the three of you here. So, thank you so much for your time. So, how about we extend the conversation with this very first question? So, actually, a question came in already. How can the quantum computers, how can all of this be applied with banks or in banks, in banking?
Maybe I can take the first
Yeah,
part
go
of the
ahead,
question, and Ivan
Yes,
can
okay.
add your comment. We are working with some banks already here. I think one of the key risks that banks have is their data are precious to the bank's reputation, precious to the bank customer. So the number one criteria they want to do is to make sure that all this data will stay protected now and in the future. So three areas that they would like to make sure quantum computer will not affect the data. One is the data at rest. That means all the data that they keep in the database will now be stored securely with protection of quantum safe algorithm. And for the communication between the bank, they are now testing the equipment that we described earlier for the network encryption. They're testing equipment to make sure that the performance will stay the same, and they are able to communicate seamlessly and securely around it. Lastly, is they're starting to look at cryptographic signing signatures of all their documents. So a lot of banks use digital signatures. They are now looking into using quantum safe algorithm for digital signature. I hope that answered the question. And Ivan, please feel free to add.
Yes, Ivan or Janet, do you have any additions?
No, I think Berlin, you got most of it. I think the digital signatures portion is more important because that has the longer lasting effect, right? There's some financial data like credit card information, their lifetime is probably not as long as things like digital signatures. So if digital signatures can be compromised, then that really has a huge impact in the financial sector. All of your agreements are, it's going to be questionable. Once if they can be forged with quantum computers.
Okay. Actually, we also have another question here. If we're okay to move on.
Yeah.
How are quantum computers, how do I say this? How can they be maintained in in a building management system?
Great. Wow. You guys
Yeah.
are well in advance. Many part of the world have not thought about building management. So you guys are
Yes.
great. In building management, what I would say is there's a lot of intelligence now
Okay.
built into the management system. We're talking about maybe the elevators, the temperature control, environmental control, and CCTV. A lot of those IoT devices which are part of this building management system, they will need to have firmware upgraded in a secure way. That means for all your elevators, yes, behind that is all software running it. You don't want your elevator to open doors at the wrong floor. And you don't want
Yes.
the elevators to trap the VIPs. And you don't want the CCTV to be turned on or off without the actual control of the building management system.
Yes, of course.
This software control, and with software control, it comes down to something called the root of trust. You need to trust the firmware. You need to trust all the applications running on top of it. That is a big discussion going on right now around the worldwide community. How we can maintain build this root of trust, this chain of trust. Because right now, a lot of this trust is actually based on digital signing. Guess what? All of this digital signing right now are based on classical, traditional cryptography, and they no longer secure. So with building management, I would say let's start to put in thought about what are the risks with all these messaging systems. What are the mitigating controls? How can you put in new algorithms for the signing of all these IoT devices for the CCTV? So this would be my suggestion for the building management system operation.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. Ivan and Janet, do you have anything to add regarding that?
No, I'm nothing
No?
much to add on.
No from my end as well.
Okay. Another question. Oh well, before I ask my next question, to our guests, if you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A box down here on your right hand side. So while you guys are thinking of a question, I have another one. How can we, or how can all of us discern how can the quantum computers discern what the critical data is? I think that's a more important question.
Okay, well, that's a great question. The quantum computer will not be able to help you discover or classify which are the sensitive data. Usually it's done by other means, but quantum computer is very fast in decrypting. So what is likely to happen is, if you are a sensitive department, if you are an embassy, if you're a police headquarters, I would say most of the communication coming in and out of your department are very sensitive. They are
Yes.
precious.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't need a quantum computer to determine the data. What I need is to be able to tap into all this communication using this harvest and decrypt technique. So we harvest everything as much as possible, put it in the cloud, put it in my safe storage until the time when I can get my hand on a quantum computer. Then I can start decrypting them one by one. And you never know. It's just like you are going into gold mine. You just try to get whatever you want in the gold mine, and that can take place after a few years' time.
Okay, thank you, Welland. So I think we have one last question before we move on. Can high-speed encryptors accommodate data from IoT platforms as well?
Okay. Well, the high-speed encryptors are mainly for the network protection. For IoT, we may be talking about could be high-speed link with 5G. Yes, from site to site, you want to protect with high-speed encryption, and maybe with some edge device for IoT. Edge devices, you may have many IoT devices in a area, but all these IoT devices will not be talking to the cloud directly. They will move all the data into maybe a closed location. We call that an edge location. And then from the edge, you may want to apply the HSE so that the communication between the edge device to the cloud will then be encrypted, protected with HSE.
Okay, I think, thank you so much, Welland. Ivan and Janet, do you have anything to add that just before we end our question and answer portion?
Oh, just want to say thank you very much to Welland for a really insightful presentation.
Welcome, Ivan.
Yeah, I think to me, securing the data is the minimums. I think no matter it's quantum or not quantum, I guess securing the data is really very fundamental for the generations today. So I believe most of the organizations should do a well protections for the data, which is critical. So please don't delay. Take your action right now. So feel free to reach out to us. That if you need any help or any questions. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Janet, Ivan, and Welland. We learned a lot from you, and that was exponentially a substantial amount of data to put in my mind. It was a very great conversation with you. So thank you for gracing our webinar. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you. Okay, so wow, that was a lot. I definitely learned a lot. I hope everybody else here in this webinar learned a lot as well. So to give you a quick recap on everything that we talked about with Welland, Ivan, and Janet, here is a recap of the discussion. Here's a short video.
Your data, video, and voice is on the move, across networks, in between data centers, to the last mile, curb, or cabinet, on premises to the cloud and back again. But is it secure? For data in motion, high-assurance network encryption offers powerful safeguards to the challenges of a rapidly transforming threatscape. SafeNet high-speed encryptors are scalable, interoperable, easy to use, cost-effective, and provide maximum security without compromising performance. And they are the first encryptors to offer transport-independent mode, which means the best performing encryption, regardless of the network layer. SafeNet high-speed encryptors deliver certified network encryption capabilities, providing uncompromising security with maximum throughput and minimal latency. Future-proof and crypto-agile, they support custom curves, bring your own entropy, and built-in quantum random number generation. The SafeNet Virtual Encryptor, a hardened virtualized network function, provides network encryption to ensure all data in motion is secure. It addresses customer requirements for reducing their hardware footprint, and it's integrated with SafeNet Key Secure for enhanced key lifecycle management. When your customers, partners, and employees demand security in an ever-changing environment, ensure that your data in motion is secure with SafeNet high-speed encryptors.
Okay, that's it for our quantum question and answer. And now it's time for another quantum quiz. So let's see if everyone was listening a while ago. Okay, again, winners will win a One Commerce treat containing a jacket and a pandemic kit. This jacket that you see over here, you'll be getting one as well. So the first one who can send his answer in the chat box will win a prize. So is everybody ready? Okay, please don't forget, just drop your answers there in the question and answer box. So, question number 1. What does qubit mean? So, I heard this word a while ago, qubit. What does qubit mean? So, feel free to drop your answers there in the chat box. It's a very interesting discussion that we had today, and I learned a new word called qubit. Our winner is John Vincent. Am I right? Yes, John Vincent. It is a quantum bit. So yes, according to our One Commerce team, the winner will be John Vincent Hubilia. I'm sorry if I mentioned another person a while ago. It must be my internet connection. But we will be awarding, thank you so much for answering. We will be awarding John Vincent Hubilia as the winner for this. But don't worry, because we have another question for you, okay? So congratulations, John Vincent. Now, our next question and our last one will be, what is the Thales solution called? Okay, so go. Anyone who has the answer to this? I will not look at the chat box. I will rely on my One Commerce team to tell me who the answer is, just so that everything is fair. Okay, so again, the question is, what is the Thales solution called? I love it. I see people answering. Okay, so One Commerce team, please help me. Who is the winner for this very last question? Who will be receiving a jacket, a One Commerce jacket, and a special pandemic kit? And I see them typing. And let's see. Wow, this is a little thrilling. Sorry, I also may be having some technical difficulties. The winner for this last question, what is the Thales solution called? We have someone here named Beth Ison. Beth Ison, congratulations, because you are correct. The answer is Thales high-speed encryptors. Thank you, Elijah, for your answer. But yes, the final answer is Thales high-speed encryptors. To all our winners, a One Commerce representative will have a short one conversation with you about your prize. So thank you so much for being active in our question and answer portion and our quantum quiz. So congratulations, everyone. Now moving on. You will be taking home, as you can see over here, these items, this denim jacket that has the One Commerce badges and logo on it, and a very special One Commerce personalized bag with a pandemic kit right inside. So congratulations, everyone. Now moving on, to give you a glimpse of our partner presenter of today's webinar, here's a video from Thales.
In a world that's changing faster than ever before, securing data, identities, and software has never been more important. That's why trust in the digital services people use every day is crucial. And when it comes to the security of data, identities, and software, the most trusted companies and brands rely on Thales. Whether it's helping businesses around the world provide trusted access for thousands of remote employees, enabling organizations to accelerate their digital transformation in trusted cloud environments, helping companies transform into trusted software providers, or securing payments for billions of trusted digital transactions every day. At Thales, our mission is simple. We help businesses, governments, and organizations all over the world build a future we can all trust.
And there you have it. That's Thales. So as Welland mentioned, we hope that everybody here will get to bring home the 4 key takeaways from this conversation. So earlier, he said that there were 4 things that we should keep in mind. First is that quantum is definitely coming. It's here, everybody, and we have to be aware of it. It's coming, and it is the future. Next is, if you want to get into quantum, know your risks. Okay, so they said that you can take a test, so please do so. See if it's meant for you, and you can talk to One Commerce so that they can help you out. Third is focus on crypto agility. So yes, let's look at this crypto agility. And number 4, the most important, is start today. Continue the One Conversation with us. If you do have any questions on how to explore this quantum safe solution, feel free to contact us at info@onecommerce.com.ph. Again, any questions at all, we are here to help you regarding quantum computers and everything else on crypto agility, because quantum is coming. So again, please contact us at info@onecommerce.com.ph. So that's it, everyone. Thank you to everyone who attended our webinar, as well as to our panelists, our speakers. This One Conversation would not have been possible without everybody here. So thank you to everyone who attended our webinar, One Conversation, Secure Your Data in the Age of Quantum Computing. Have a safe and secure afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much.